different artists, so the venue's good for one of them, but
Hallo.
been better with another.
Hallo. Hello and herzlich willkommen. Hello and welcome everybody. We have no screen, but we have. I have my questions and everything that I've prepared for this panel on my phone. So please excuse if I'm looking at my phone. The title that should be on the screen, but it's not because it's too sunny, is Who is to Blame for Non-Diverse Lineups? My name is Suzy Andrushova, and I'll be hosting. And I like to start with the very basic question of introducing everybody and my fellow panelists. Yeah, we have guests from Germany, Denmark, and France here. And maybe you can all introduce yourselves and explain in briefly how the question of diversity in festival lineups engages you in your everyday work life.
Want me to start?
Yeah, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte Galanet, I'm from France, and I work at a company called Premier Amour.
Shall we move it a little bit closer?
Yeah. It's good?
Or do you want to switch?
Well, it's going
Is it working?
I'll do like this.
Yes.
That's going to be easier.
Yeah.
So I'm Charlotte, I'm from France, and I co-produce a festival called Cabourg Mon Amour, which takes place in the summer on the beach in France. And this year, for the first time, we had a gender equal lineup. And
how much percent? Like 50-50?
It was a perfect 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was the first time that I was working on the lineup, and the past few years it was just male programmers. So they didn't pay attention to it, and they thought that they had parity, and they actually didn't at all. And so this year it's been a challenge because they were mostly speaking to booking agencies that work with male artists. And so it was my challenge of this year, and it will be in the coming years, because even though we had as many men as women on stage, most women were on the smaller stage. So it was still a disappointment. And plus I must say that in France we are very incentivized to have parity in the lineup because you get more fundings if you do.
Okay.
So that's convincing for many men not interested in the subject.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I pull it? I can pull it, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas. I'm coming from Berlin. I'm working for Good Life Artists, which is a company that promotes tours most likely internationally. We do have a few festivals, like Melt Festival, Splash Festival, or Super Bloom, and as well as the booking department for tours, and of course with the diversity conversation taking place, we very much try to do our shares when it comes to festival constructions, or also shaping the touring business to have an impact and try to be a role model or help to put artists on a position to be role models for generations to come afterwards, basically, to sum it up very briefly.
Okay. Frederick?
Yep, my name is Frederick, and I started a music company, a music agency called Queer Music Agency, and due to the lack of diversity in the industry, so we have decided only to represent queer artists, and was also based on some reports actually from the Danish music industry, showing that more than 50% of people who define themselves as queer artists are discriminated in the industry. And of course you also see the lack of diversity between male and female, so we have a focus on representing a lot of female artists as well, and also BIPOC artists, so double minorities as well. Yeah, so I think it's very important. It should be an industry with a lot more focus on diversity, and luckily I think it's a lot of things is going in the right direction, but it's still a long journey, I think, before we have reached the goals.
Yeah. Henriette?
Okay, hello, I'm Henrietta. I'm music label owner. I founded my own label last year, and I also do booking and publishing and management. And I used to book a small festival in Germany like a few years ago. But mostly I think the topic impacts me as I'm working with both male, like full male bands, but also like a female artist, Sam Queely, she's gonna play here on Saturday. And now with a new band, with a female front woman. And I think it's a really important topic. It needs more visibility. And I'm also a mentoring, part of a mentoring program now. It's called MEVM Europe. And it's not for artists, but it's for entrepreneurship women and Flinter. And I think it's a really good program and really important to start. There's some improvement in this topic, but there could be more. And I think it's really important to do talks like this to have more visibility for it.
We have on this panel, and I'm assuming this, we have different ages of people working here, and I think one part of visibility of how to make lineups more diverse is also raising awareness. And I was thinking just on right here about the generational conflict between old school bookers, agents that have not grown up in a feminist environment or with Vogue culture, however you want to call it, with the awareness that we have now. So maybe we can talk a little bit about this generational question where you sometimes have to start from the beginning in persuading people why diversity is even important, because you work with senior managers or are dealing with senior agents that just want to sell tickets and say we don't have enough female headliners, stuff like that. So maybe you can touch a little bit on the subject of age without becoming too ageist. I don't know who wants to start.
Maybe I can say a few words.
Yeah.
I'm part of MEWEM too, and because since the beginning of my career, I wanted to work with women. And music programmers are always men. Like in France, there are so many music programmers that are male, and maybe like a handful of women. So most of them are open to the idea. Like they're not all old, but they're open to the idea of programming more women, and they just don't know how, because they are used to work with people who've been working with male for their whole life, and it's like maybe a boys' club of friends. It's not. They do not mean to. I don't know how to say it. They don't mean to do what they're doing, but they actually do it, and they feel like if they were not doing it, it would be discrimination against male artists, and they're not open to the idea of quotas. And quotas is probably not the best way of doing it, but still, it's a way of starting it. To me.
How is the discussion about quotas within Good Life? Just keep the microphone in your hand all the time.
I put it a bit too hard and was hard to get out there. No, it's definitely a big issue, because in the end we try to live up to our own values. We try to have not just like a quota. I think a quota at this point is still a good thing, because we're still not there where we aspire to be all across the industry. Therefore, I think it's important to actually say, hey, we tried purposely to have at least 50% of Flinter artists, of artists from different communities, or also maybe also from different genres which are not from the Western pop culture to begin with. So it's a big topic on that one, and of course we try to use the visibility of our stages for artists that are on a certain level that of course still are able to help getting the festival attended, but still also appeal to the audience we have. So it's always different with all the portfolio we have in terms of festivals. We appeal to very different audiences, but try to do our share. So for example, with Mel Festival, it's a very young, ravey audience that is very much appreciative towards all approaches when it comes to inclusion and diversity. We were able to have Georgia Smith headlining together with Fever Ray and the XX the other a year, and same with Super Bloom, which is more a bit of a commercial pop event, so to say. We also tried to use the main stage slots there in a shared way. Our booker for that festival, she's very eager to be supportive and have a visible impact on the lineup on those things. So we definitely try to lead a little bit of the way, as the German industry, as you also said, in France is still very, what's a good word to put? Male dominated in the end, that's what it is, yeah.
Queer Music Agency already has the sort of the message in the title. Are you working exclusively with queer artists, and can you maybe talk a little bit about? Well, it doesn't make sense to talk about. Yeah, does it even make sense to talk with you about quota?
So yeah, first of all, yeah, we do only represent queer artists, and of course we got a lot of public attention about that, and a lot of media have been writing about us, and we were also blamed for discriminating straight people. But that's the reason why you make communities, because you have to change status quo. So yeah, so that's why you do it. You do it because the industry has some challenges, and I think you have to do an active effort to change things. So when your festival is not having a diverse representation, you need to do something active about it, because it will not change just by the years going on, because it is often like, who do you know? If you have a lot of male bookers, they normally book what they like the most, etc., etc., and it's like also who's your friends or who do you have in your network. I used to have, sometimes I'm telling about an example from Denmark. We have like the biggest house for practice rooms for musicians. They some years ago they've tried to find out how their members was, and they found out 92% of the members was white cis males, and then they started to do an active effort about how can we change it, because it's again, you have to start everywhere, and you have to make it easier for people to practice music, to have some idols. So and about quota, I think of course the most important thing is the music and the artist. So I have pros and cons with the quota, because and also a thing I talk with my artists about. They won't be chosen because they're queer. They want to be chosen because they make good music. So I think the quality of the music is the most important. But of course, it can help having quota, because you need to force it to have attention about it.
A follow-up question before we get to you, Henrietta. And I need a queer artist for my festival. I type into Google, I find your number, I call you, and I say, hey, we have a 3 p.m. slot on our stage. Send us somebody. Like, is that
and we don't say no to bookings. So, and of course we would like to as I know that actually we get bookings because we do what we do, and of course we don't say no to a good booking, and we have very good artists, so we can, like, the quality is good, so you can always call to book out artists.
Henrietta, I read that you started working as a booking agent when you were 17. Is that true?
No, I started booking the festival with 17, but I started managing a band with 17 or 18. Yeah.
I'm always very impressed by people who start engaging in work life from a very early age, because it's like I'm just obsessed with the idea of different work ethics and different work environment. So maybe you can talk a little bit about I didn't want to use the word quota too much, but teaching people also with a sensitive subject that seems very normal to you and very normal to you, but other colleagues need to be educated on.
Yeah, I think it's like a big Auftrag, what means Auftrag in English again?
Auftrag.
Mission, a big mission also for programs and funding. Like if there would be more funding for programs that support this topic, there would be lots of more like discussion about it, and I think that's like a really, really big part of it. Like this Mervin program, like we just had the kickoff, and it felt like super nice meeting all this like business women and all these young women that are really like want to grow in the music industry, and they are gonna be the ones that maybe like have a female or flinter act at the end and build it up. And I think that's really important to have as much possible programs. But for quota, I was like reading some like some facts in preparation of this, and there's like the key change from Reeperbahn Festival that really supports like quotas, and then there's a German foundation by Maria Furtwängler. She's a like really famous actress, and they got together with GEMA and Music as Women, and they like showed how many male artists are registered in the GEMA, like in comparison to female artists, and they also have in their like in their manifest that like most important is to analyze and make it like visible what's a certain the momentum, and then where to go into and work on it. And I think that's really important that there's lots of these kind of programs and fundings. And
statistics are sometimes boring, but they show us the reality. And I brought some statistics from 2019 before Corona. A journalist from Berlin was writing a thesis on diversity in festival lineups, in major festival lineups in Germany, and she looked at the 5 biggest festivals in Germany from 2019, festivals like Wacken, Rock am Ring, Fusion, and the numbers of the visitors was like, and bear with me, almost 500,000, like something 410,000 visitors, and they were confronted. They saw from the festival lineups, they saw 72.8% male acts only, and 27.2% of the performing acts in 2019 at these 5 major festivals in Germany were mixed genders, female and non-binary, genderqueer artists. And out of these numbers, the headliners, only 10% of headlining acts included a female performer on stage. So this is the reality that we're talking about and why we're talking about it. Coming off from, because we have September, it's Waves festival season, but we've all been, I don't know how many summer festivals you visited. I've been to too many. And the last festival, not the last one, but one of the biggest festivals in Austria is the FM4 Frequency Festival, where FM4 is the media partner, and we did a couple of, after at festivals, what a radio station does is usually ask the audience about what do you think of the festival, what do you do at the campsite, like all the reports that you do, and of course we asked also about the diversity in the lineup, because all of the headlining acts were male, and it was discussed on stage by an Austrian artist, because she invited her female friends on stage and criticized that there is such a low number of female acts performing. So we went around the festival site, and of course it's like totally not waterproof statistic data, but there is always this argument coming back from the festival audience, and I wanted to ask you how you would respond, or what your thoughts on this are, is that the visitors, those who pay the money, those who tell their friends, come visit this festival or watch this band, is that a lot of festival visitors say, I don't see gender, music is either good or not good, and some have also said, of course, I'm aware that there is only male headlining acts, but it doesn't stop me from going. So some consumers see it, the problems, some don't care, some don't wanna see it. So what would your answer be to these festival goers?
Yes. So first of all, I get the idea that it's very important to sell tickets, and if you have a country or area where the male artists are the most famous and the one who sells the tickets, then I get it. And you have to work to create new, well-known female artists or queer artists, and it takes time to get an audience, of course. But what you could do, I think you have a very big responsibility as a festival. It's not only festivals who to blame, but they do have a responsibility to show and help new artists. And you could do it in many ways. You can have the headline being a male, but then you could have a support gig also at a festival. You could have, like, before the major artists will enter the stage, then give the stage to a female or to a queer artist to show them something else, because the audience who come, they will buy tickets because they know the artist, but you can help them get new artists, to enlighten them about new artists. And the festivals do have the responsibility to make it easier for people to get to know new music and new artists. So yeah.
I mean, you said you talked about the responsibilities from the organizers. What is the responsibility of the consumer, of the festival goer, who is like, it's summer, it's school free time, you don't have to learn, you're just allowed to travel and have holidays, hopefully, spend 300 euros on a ticket, and then you're bombarded with like a mission and a political message and stuff. So I feel when festivals are a lot of times about escapism and like letting go and having a good time, I wonder how much or how you deal with putting pressure on the audience about what is right and wrong.
I feel like that is absolutely essential. A festival has the duty, maybe even, to be political. They started off as a political institution. Festival has always been political. Music has always been political. Therefore, it's way too easy just to say, oh, I'm just going here for a good time and just to, I don't know, get hammered and get rid of my graduation from high school or whatsoever. Therefore, of course, festivals have to inspire or lead the way somehow, because in the end, it's not just we put up a stage, have some trucks that sell food, have 1 million stands that sell beer, and that is it, but have a concept around it, how you, for example, want to influence the society in which you live in. And in the end, that's what festivals should be about, giving inspiration to the people who go there, no matter if it's guests who buy the tickets, or also the staff who work there, or also the artists who come there to participate in the festival. All this should be a very unique place in time and space that is able to lay out a better idea of how situations can be in society.
Okay. Welcome to our TED Talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking also the same, and yeah, at the end also the music consumers are the ones that make music successful at the end, with of course the industry too, but I mean without the consumers the artist would be on an empty stage. And then it's maybe like in preparation for them to go to festivals and play, it's also on the side of streaming services to have equal playlists, or like, yeah, to push that, and then yeah, it's all merged together at the end. But I think everyone has like the political, should have the political Auftrag.
Mission.
Mission, of course. Political mission to, yeah, to support it. Yeah, to make it possible for everyone to have like a good lineup at the end, and people who are open to see that.
Yeah.
And I think most festival goers are now understanding the subject and are open to the idea. They even celebrate it at some festival. It's like in France we have festival with full women lineup.
Okay. Which one is it?
Les Femmes Sans Mêle, for instance, but there are a few of them, not so many, but still. And it's great festival, great lineup. People go there every year. So
the reason I was asking this question is because I feel like that that there's like, we're looking at major festivals that sell the tickets and make the money, and then we're looking at like niche passion projects, which is so bizarre, because why is like a queer like a lineup that has like 50% queer, why should it be niche? So I just feel that like sometimes from how it is presented to to the audience is like, okay, this is the fun holiday project, and this is like you will learn something, or you will, yeah. So that's maybe why I was asking this question. Some of the questions that I ask, it's not like my opinion. Just know that if I were to program festivals, there will be no Die Ärzte ever. Yeah. Just to. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know how we should do with audience. I know that I have to repeat the questions when there is some questions because of the stream. Anybody has anything that you want to ask? Just shout or raise hand. I'd be happy to. Yes. Hi. Say again?
How do you calculate the quotas?
The
Is it just female-led, or gender-led, or field-led?
Okay.
Or is it also band members that
Yeah.
count as
How do you calculate quotas? Is it just female-led or also mixed, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I can answer this.
Yeah.
For instance, in France, the CNM is the one which gives the fundings to the festival, and so they have a list of criteria to meet. There are several of them. For instance, how many women on stage, how many women working in technique. And if you have a mixed gender band, it's just one woman, one man, or is it one woman and 4 men? Like you count it with the number of person on stage.
Okay.
But you can also count it with, additionally, you can count as who's the leader of the band. Is it mixed or is it a woman?
Okay.
But you do both.
Yeah. Shall we talk a little bit about sort of what needs to happen to have more diverse lineup in terms of how the state is supporting, or how the government and how the different structures in your respective countries are working towards diversity in festival lineups? You already touched on the subject of funding. How is it in Germany and Denmark? Do you get more money because you have a 50-50 lineup?
We wish.
Yeah.
We honestly wish. No, it's a little bit of a pity when it comes to fundings in Germany. Of course, you get general fundings when you have like a cultural approach that has like a higher value than just playing beer pong on the camping ground. But it's hard to get like additional funding or recognition from the government. I feel like they have different priorities, unfortunately, than sorting this. In Germany, it's often they make a big difference between e-music and u-music, which is basically serious music, like all sorts of classical music and theater stuff, and u-music, which is basically anything related to entertainment, so to call pop music, indie music, electronic music, and it's very, very hard to get some fundings on that. And nevertheless, it's also, from some festivals, the position, it's good not to get those fundings, to rather stay independent from the government and sort of keep their own profile without saying, oh yeah, now we're working with the government, and are still able to criticize also a certain status quo, which is still endorsed by the government nevertheless.
Yeah, I'm not talking for the festival, but in general, I think that, so the subject has a lot of attention in Denmark, and a lot of the funds you can seek is focused to be on diversity. So in that matter, there's a lot of focus on it, and I assume that festival will also be able to get more funding if they work with some active effort for this matter. So. Yeah, it is getting better and better. I still think there's a long way to go, but it is possible to get maybe more funding if you do work with diversity. Yeah.
Anything you want to add? No.
I mean, I don't know how it's about festival funding, but Niklas said it already. And yeah, I think like we have like Initiative Musik in Germany, and I think they don't have a quota, but they look out for it. So, but yeah. Yeah.
Audience submission?
What?
Audience submission?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Thanks. Just to add a few words on that. There's this kind of new program for venues. It's called Live 500.
new program for venues. It's called Live 500, and what is it? It's for supporting venues to not die because
Yeah,
new O2 arenas are being built.
a bit. It's a funding for smaller concert venues with prices up to €20 each, or for each concert, and capacities up to 1,000 people, I guess. And these 500 means the sum of like two fundings of €250, one for the venue and the other one for the artist.
Okay.
And then the whole program, the local venue has to prove that 30% of the lineup in this, let's say,
In a year.
program of a year,
Yeah.
right, are filled with artists that are somehow related to
Marginalized.
sorry.
I wonder how they came up with a number like 30. Like why 30?
I don't know,
Like
I don't know why, but they forced the venues to somehow ask the artists, do you feel being inside of a group which lives in disadvantages,
okay.
in more than just the view on gender?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's heavily discussed.
Initiative
But it's
500.
running.
Initiative 500 is what it's called.
Initiative Musik.
Initiative
It's
Musik.
like the popular music
Yeah.
promotion
Yeah. Okay.
in Germany.
Okay.
Public.
Homework. Initiative Musik, which is not a very clever thing to Google, but Initiative Musik. Maybe there's a asterisk somewhere in the name, so
By
it's
the way, I'm just a venue booker and not from Initiative.
that would have been my next question. Who is the mole from Initiative Musik? Can I let's draw a little bit of a future scenario. So when I feel like from having visited music conferences over the last 15 years, I've heard a lot of similar discussions, and I'm pretty sure you've been on similar panels as today. So I wonder what your take or your thoughts are on when is there gonna be like a visible change, or a change that where we or where you would be happy of what has been achieved? Because I feel like festivals, be it major or minor, there's so many struggles with higher prices, with climate questions, like how is the festival in 2035, 33, like in 10 years? Yeah, 10 years. How does it even look like? Is it gonna be, like, when is it gonna be a change for the better, that we don't get, like, every start of the festival season we see these memes, like the male headliners erased from the liner poster, and we see like 3 women on the poster or something. So like, talk a little bit about the future hopes and perspectives of when is there going to be change. Whoever wants to start will do.
Try to start. It's a very difficult question. I think it's will be an ongoing process, and unfortunately, I don't think we will be achieve the goals before I'm in the grave somewhere. But it depends, of course. When does each festival take for example, just let's focus on the festival. When do they take an active decision? We also need to create more famous artists that you actually want to book, because they can sell tickets. So it also take like maybe 5-10 years before we have enough capacity of artists that are more well known. And you can blame so many people. The radios, who do you play there? And
not the radios.
We
suffer.
And then focus on how to have more things going on, and also in primary schools and high schools as an initiative there, workshop there, where you can show how important diversity is, and you can do many good things that matter. But I said, if we're exceeding the goals, I would be lovely to change my name, Queer Music Agency, to something else. The Q could be for Queen or something else, and I would like
Let's
to
go
represent.
from queer to queen. That's actually such a good name.
So I'm ready to change when we achieve the goals. But I think it will be taking a lot of years. So you will be keeping listening to this for the next 10 and 50 years, because it takes a lot of time to change. But you can change it, as it's easy to do something about it. If you just have to decide to do some active effort, and everyone has a responsibility for that.
because you mentioned schools and younger audiences or younger musicians. I don't know if you've seen the Mercury Prize yesterday. Has anybody seen or heard or seen the clips? I mean, it was happening while the festival was going on. So, yeah, I understand if nobody has seen it live. But Ezra Collective won the Mercury Prize yesterday, and in the speech they mentioned, they thanked the schools and all the initiatives, because they met at a youth club. They mentioned all the initiatives that teaches kids instruments and music, and yeah, youth clubs basically. So it was quite a nice moment of, okay, we as a diverse jazz band wouldn't be here if we hadn't met in this youth club, if we hadn't had the opportunity to learn about music from an early age on. So maybe management-wise, how establishing, like, explain to me, to us, establishing an artist, like establishing an artist and helping the artist grow bigger in a male-dominated music world. Like, what's the give us the how-to-do list.
I'd say that there were some studies in France that there were more women learning music, and then there is less women playing in bands. So they were wondering why, and the reason could be that male have more connections. They are, because I don't know how, but when it comes to networking, there is always more men to the events and less female. So the question is it because of education? Is it because men have met somewhere else and then became friends, and so it's easier to go to these events? So I don't know why it's happening like this, but that's why initiatives like MEWEM exist, and the goal is to help women who want to work in music, but there are similar initiatives for musicians, which are women, to meet and to actually work together, and that's how, in the end, you start to build up a career, I guess.
You work with management? Any ideas on management? Give us your success.
I work as a booker, to be honest, so I rather know the live perspective and less of a management, but in the end, I agree.
So, but you're the one who can say, I've heard one song, I've seen one song at this festival, and I see that this person has the
potential.
has the potential. Thank you. The potential to headline.
Yes, hopefully. I mean, it's always a process. Also, like you said, it's not a thing that we decide, oh no, we do everything different and just turn on the diversity switch. It's unfortunately not that easy, but a process all the players in the industry have to be willing to participate in, and in order to have some actual progress, for example, like you said, with the amount of women or girls learning an instrument, and then the lack of female bands, for example, I think then it's essential to support role models for the next generation maybe to come, that they actually see, oh wow, there are actually bands who do the stuff I am enjoying myself. Maybe I can actually achieve this myself because this band or that band are already on a level I can potentially go there too. So it's something more inspiring, and I mean, there are also even statistics that a lot of young girls don't see themselves in those positions because there are no role models at the moment that maybe inspire them and show a certain path that this could, for example, work for them too. And also when it comes to festival communication, I mean, there's also a study about the after movies of festivals.
The after movies of festivals,
the
like the 1-minute video clips of.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, tell me more.
And in the end, a lot of festivals all across Europe basically show men on stage and women in the audience.
Okay.
And this is then also, of course, a way how you communicate as a festival and what you sort of endorse. And it's a different hierarchy already in the presentation of the festival itself, which I also find very difficult. So there are so many different parts that need to be discussed or at least addressed in order to see the bigger picture and actually have a movement over there.
You know, I'm gonna watch very closely the Melt After movie. Is there one?
There's one, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna count with hopefully both my hands how many female acts I see.
Please do it.
Okay. Henriette, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just thinking when Niklas talked about role models that I have one very nice anecdote of one band I work with. It's Waxlegs, and they are a metal, hard rock, punk band with
What
female
is the
leader.
name? Sorry, I
Waxlegs.
Waxlegs.
Waxlegs. And yeah, the singer, she's singing and playing guitar, and I think they went to Croatia and played a show there, and then after the show, two younger girls came to her and were like, what is this? We never saw a woman playing guitar like this, and they started a band there, actually. And they just told me that like 2 weeks ago, so yeah, this can happen. Like, I built up this band, put them like on tour, and then they influence younger people where they play.
Yeah. If you can see it, you can be it. Is like the overall theme of everything. Yes. Hello.
Yeah, I have a question that's a bit chicken and egg. So
Okay. Do you know what? Do you mind taking a microphone, because I feel chicken and egg questions I will not be able to.
Could I get some water while the microphone
Sure.
is being
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we do. I don't want to stand in front of that.
I'm sorry.
We do festival delivery for technical crews around the world.
Okay.
And in the UK, when I started in 2012, we had 100% male crews on everything. And now we're 40% female. We're 20% POC, probably about 20% LGBTQ. And also we changed our age approach, and we're employing a lot older people in those brackets as well. So we're employing over 50, which is, and what we found is that has drastically changed the environment on site. Like, it was very hard to do at first because there was a lot of pushback between different departments, but it has changed the feeling, the environment, the way work is done. It's improved the revenue on sites as well because things are done a lot quicker and there seems to be a better atmosphere around. So my question is, there's a lot of panels discussing talent at festivals, but there's not a lot discussing the grassroots changing of technical crews, changing the background and how that's done, and what will facilitate the overall change quicker. Is it changing the what people see on posters, or is it changing the backroom staff that will then change what is seen on the posters in the long run?
Thank you for your question. I'm gonna. What's the name of your? Sorry, what's the name of your company?
PMY.
PMY.
Yeah, we do a lot of technical infrastructure, so video screens, video feeds, broadcast, that kind of.
The reason I'm asking is because after Corona, I've heard from a lot of industry people that the crowds, especially because of age, changed completely because older people didn't want to continue working in the music industry, but wanted to change, switch careers, and so now there are even more younger technicians and engineers working at festival crews, for example, because the older generation is somehow switched careers, but that was.
We actually found it both ends. So
Okay.
there were younger people that wanted to come in, but there were also people that worked in certain aspects of the industry that didn't really want those jobs anymore, but they still wanted to be engaged in the music industry. So they were quite happy to do summer festival season rather than sit in an office year round. So it was just about kind of looking in a different place.
But let's go back to your question and
But I think it's a very good question, and of course you have to change the organization sometimes. If the organization is not capable of changing it, the festival itself, for example, as a Roskilde Festival, the biggest festival in Denmark, this year they built up a brand new scouting team with young people and a very diverse scouting team, for example, and they made the best first days lineup in years because all the old bookers, maybe white cis male beyond 40 or 45 years. So you have to change the organization, because sometimes to find new upcoming artists, you need to be a part of them, and you cannot listen to them in the radio because they're not played there. You cannot maybe not even listen to them at Spotify playlists because they have not gone through there as well, and it's difficult for them to get many good gigs. So you need to change the organization. So you're right, and I think that will of course accelerate it very quickly.
I think there is no. I mean, I wish, because I was asking the stupid question about the to-do lists, but I wish there would be like one switch, or like one way of it's like a whole domino effect in some ways, or maybe not even domino effect. It's like everything is so intertwined that it's that's why I was asking about your vision of the future and when something is going to change. I don't know if did we stop there? Did anybody, or shall we talk about
Yeah, the next one.
next one? Okay. Any other questions? I sort of would have a question that is not really connected to the issue, but I would like to ask the question, and we can move away if you prefer. But I sort of have a question about cancel culture and how to deal with lineups or acts that have been cancelled or not cancelled, or are on the verge of cancelling, or have faced accusations, like sort of. It's the whole Lezo debacle, who I saw headlining at Roskilde Festival this year, and I wonder how. So you have a diverse lineup, and you get rid of the male acts, and then you have criticism or allegations against people that actually make up what is so special about your festival, that have been role models for diversity. So I wonder if you want to touch a little bit on how to deal with cancel culture within festivals. Like, I don't know if you want to start.
I think it's not an easy question to answer, of course, but you cannot accept anymore to have people on the lineup who have been convicted, for instance, because some people have been convicted and are still on the lineup. I mean, I understand when people are saying, you're not sure, like, this person is accused, we don't know. It's trickier, I agree. But in some way, you should always try to protect the person who's the victim. And you should protect your own crew. Like, I mean, if this person did something wrong somewhere, it can happen with the team you're working with the artists that you are putting to your lineup. So you should be careful, and you must cancel if you don't feel comfortable working with that person. So in terms of communication, it's complicated, of course, and maybe you're doing a mistake, and that's terrible for the artist. But in the other way around, it's terrible for the victim too. So yeah, and just to say, there are some I don't know to say associations. Some associations in France, like Act Right, which can help festivals and bookers to
clear up allegations, you mean?
Not to clear up allegations, to decide what to do and how to do it. Okay. And it's important that they're here, because when it happens to you and you need to do to talk to the press and explain why you're doing things, it's very tricky. But you must do it, because like it's your duty to tell why you're doing this.
The reason I was asking this question is because now that we've also heard the perspective from crew, is that like in an ideal world, music is a safe space. And I'm just waiting for Rammstein to headline next year's Rock am Ring, to be honest. And I'm just so yeah, that's and also the whole Lezo debacle. I mean, I'm just obsessed with what to do, because everybody everybody wants to do what is right, and I feel like nowadays it's so there's just so much pressure on being 100% right, correct, and pure in some ways. So that's why I was asking about like sort of how you what, yeah, a very broad question about cancel culture and allegations.
Very, very broad question. But
There's no questions coming from you, so I'm inventing question. Oh, hi. Yeah. Yeah.
no, I just wanted to pick that up because I think also that entire cancel culture is so much harder for artists coming from a minority or something, because that is somehow still sticking to them so much longer. Rammstein will probably go on tour next year, and they will still play stadiums next year. Kevin Spacey just got like an award at the Milan Film Academy, and I think yeah, it's a rough 3 weeks for them, and then they just continue without consequences nevertheless. So that is a major problem for our festivals. Exactly like you said, we try to create safe spaces. We had a situation with Slow Tie, I think, earlier this year, who didn't end up playing.
Oh, that's right. Did you already announce him?
Yeah.
When? Oh, okay.
Yeah. We had to check a little bit, but we got out of it. We were not as quick as canceling as, for example, I think was it Reading and Leeds?
I don't even know. It's just like
Yeah, and I mean they cancelled him
Is there a cancel
overnight.
clause now in contracts when you book? Or like that if something,
no.
because they try to do it in the film industry, like
Yeah.
if a whole other topic, but if allegations come up and you become charged with a crime and even convicted, you will have to pay some XYZ, something like that.
I mean, in the end, they did not even get convicted yet because the trial was
It's
yet
in
to be
2020
held.
It's in 2024, so
but
like
it's about
Slota
sending
is,
what message are you still sending, giving a
Yeah.
platform to those people, because once we try to create a safe space and then don't believe the people who have the courage to come out with whatever happened to them, then you're making yourself completely incredible and not incredible but unbelievable. Unreliable. Thank you. Gosh, hope that doesn't get quoted. So there is no such thing as a clause that we can get out of a performative agreement that way. So in the
I
end,
think there should be in the future. Like why couldn't? I'm pretty sure you can invent something.
There are some actually in France.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can find some contract with it's just saying like if the artist misbehaves or that there are rumors or is convicted, you can do I don't know what exactly, but I know it happens.
Are you working with the Europe terms from the Festival Association? Because that's basically often the standard contract we are working with, like the European Festival Association of Europe, that's what it's called, has like standardized terms of agreements, which is
This is the music industry.
Yeah.
We can make up our own terms.
Yeah,
Questions. Do
basically.
you want the microphone so I don't have to? If you don't mind. Getting up.
Like I said, it's random. Please forgive me. Which one of you guys is the deciding factor in who plays the festival? Who's the deciding factor in your festivals about who plays in the festival? Is it you? All of you. I'm asking it for your guys' festivals. Which are you guys the deciding factor in who goes on?
We only have.
Okay, here's my question. As a record label that's breaking a brand new artist or a DJ, is it typical to pay for their position at your festivals?
not on ours. No, we. I think
Me neither. Yeah, but in metal music, like in France, if you play metal or hardcore, you sometimes pay to play.
A festival?
I think as first act.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh.
Tours a lot of times rather.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but so basically, often I heard of that when it comes to headline tours, that you basically buy yourself in when it comes to, hey, I'm having the opportunity to join this and this band on tour, and in order to help the major band finance their nightline or whatsoever, I just chop in some money and are able to go on the run. But
Oh wow.
we don't actually work with that. No.
I mean, I know that, I assume that when I read like about contests, like for the opening acts, that I sometimes feel that it's disguised as like promotional activity to get like a cheap act for the opening slot, but yeah. But I have never heard that you have to pay for a festival. But I'm not the festival Wikipedia, so I'm sorry that you made bad experiences. Are you in fight with festival bookers about? No? Okay, good. No, I'm just asking. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. The question was, or like why are we only talking about gender, basically? Because diversity is much more than male, female, non-binary. It's also sexuality, race. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have a very good and a very important point, because diversity is a lot of things, of course. So I think it's a matter of, I'm not a booker. I'm representing queer artists because I need to take a choice, because sometimes I didn't start a diversity music agency. That would have been too not specific for my agency. So you need to focus on some matter, because then I think you can make the biggest change as a small agency trying to make a difference. But as a festival booker, for example, I think you should look into a lot of different parameters, of course, both age and all the things you said. So it's a lot of things. So to have diverse lineups, for example. But I think for some you need to just start somewhere. And for example, the gender balance is an easy way to start. So let's start there. And then later on you can also okay, now we achieve that goal. You can work on things similarity, I think, on the same time. So you should do that, but you sometimes you'd like to just start somewhere instead of not doing anything because it's too much. Then like status quo is not going to change unless you do something. So at least do something. Yeah.
Any other questions, or because? Yeah, sorry. The question is, does an artist have to be out to be represented by a queer music agency?
Being a part of our agency, you define yourself as a queer artist. That's like in the agency name you say, and then actually that is something I sometimes ask them, and I have had this discussion with some artists, and some like, oh, I don't like labels at all, but if I should choose a label, it would be queer. So, but our name is like, when we are in contact with. We do, of course, help a lot of prides, because we have made it much more easier for pride events, for example, to book queer artists, because it was very difficult for a lot of the Danish prides to actually find queer artists. You cannot Google queer artists. It's not that easy to find queer artists. And I have shown, I get, as artists from all over the world are reaching out to us because they would like to be a part of our agency. I cannot help anyone, everyone right now, but we are trying to go into different countries and start up. But yes, the answer to your question is you do define yourself as a queer artist when you're in our agency. And just another thing, I'm also trying to focus a lot of more than one diversity. So even though we have queers, I'm focused on having females and BIPOCs and double minorities in general as well, because within queerness you can also have different types of diversity.
I would like to use the last minute because I have not made my lineup for this evening at Waves Festival, and also not for tomorrow. So I would like to use the final round and hopefully this will be something good for you as well. For each one of you, recommend me an act that I should see either today, tomorrow, or at the Waves Festival, or a band that I should be on the lookout as a journalist.
Well, I would recommend to go see Charlotte Fever at Chelsea at 9. Amazing French band. It's a electronic French pop, male-female duo, both musicians and singers. It's amazing.
Excellent.
Being in Vienna and on this very day, she's unfortunately not playing this year, but I would recommend Uchiara. She is actually today releasing her very, very first single, so it feels right recommending her on this time and day. Yeah,
And
amazing. It's a very, very interesting. It's a Little Sims meets King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, maybe stylistically. So it's a very sweet melting spot.
Yeah, and the song is called WWW She Hot.
Exactly.
It's excellent.
And I think I would be stupid not to invite everyone for our showcase tonight at the Loft in the Wohnzimmer, and to show we have 3 different acts, and you can see how different queer artists can be, because they are 3 very different artists, and we do not only represent one genre, we do represent different kind of genres, and we are showing that tonight, how different it can be. Because that's also very different from artist to artist, actually. How much is queerness a part of the music? For some, it's like they sing about it, and for others, it's like, it's not a thing. They just make good music, and they don't want to be known as queer artists, actually. So when we approach festivals with some artists, we actually don't even mention it that much. But so it's very independent from artist to artist, and we're going to show that tonight as well.
I would recommend Sam Quealy tomorrow at the Loft, same venue as your showcase tonight. She's a Paris-based artist and does techno-pop, very 80s, very about female empowerment, and she's a dancer also, and she's amazing on stage, so yeah, I can really recommend seeing her live.
Thank you so much for coming and joining us, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening.